Dan Morgan and the Carolina Panthers not only find itself sitting home on Super Bowl week, but it also finds itself trying to figure out what it needs to do to bolster not only its defensive unit, but its defensive front. But with a superstar Hall of Fame caliber player becoming available this week, should Dan Morgan and Coach Evero explore options as to bring in this player, or should they continue to press towards the draft and free agency? Would you believe that there are many out there that believe that the Carolina Panthers should jump all over this opportunity?
I don't believe anything.
Well, that's certainly the case. Want to find out what the ramifications are of jumping on this opportunity or not? Stay tuned to find out on Growlin' and Prowlin'. Welcome back, Growlers. Thank you guys for joining us yet again on another edition of Growlin' and Prowlin'. Of course, you're growling with the one and only Mr. CeeLo here. And I hope you guys have been doing great. I know you guys have been checking out my reels, as some of you have joined the show. Thank you so much for joining the show. And guys, I hate to tell you this, but I have been neglecting you guys, and I'm not going to do that anymore. But it's been busy the last couple of weeks between me being an Irish fan and being a Kansas City Chief hater. But I want to get into it, as I've got a new big-time guy who's been jumping into the things. Keith Parsons, thank you so much, buddy, for the comments. Humility is a virtue, said. I see nothing but positive considering the intangibles. Free agents see the rebound of Bryce Young, the positive coaching of Dave Canellis, the continuity of the coaching staff. Evero was asked to stay and did all he could with energies on D. I totally agree with that. Dan Morgan recruits dogs. David Pepper is keeping his mouth shut all year. The same with draft picks. They see the cohesiveness of the team and a great locker room. They didn't see a team lay down just to improve their draft pick. The agents of draft picks see a no-nonsense GM who wants to get them signed and into camp. The league sees a seasoned Brant Tillis, who helped guide the team through the rough season and kept Tepper out of it. All said the number 8 pick is fine with me, and if a guy isn't there, trade down. Personally, I haven't been this positive about the team in years. I love this comment, humility is a virtue. Thank you so much, and I hope you're subscribed to the show. I know it took a while. You made this comment 3 weeks ago, but the only thing I'm going to disagree with is I don't believe in winning when it doesn't benefit you, and ultimately, I can understand your point. You're very, very, very in tune to how you feel. You're a real one, and that's what we need here and want here at Growlin' and Prowlin'. So much so that we appreciate you. We appreciate you, and it's a big growl out to you. Next, we got Poe Broken Lonely. Let's get Graham, who commented on the show. Who's the pick at number 8? Let's get Graham. Back to what humility is virtue was saying about trading down. I definitely agree with you 110%. To the guys that we want, if you guys haven't watched my reel or watched the show Who's the Pick, there's only 3 guys. So go watch the show. There's nobody else that we need to reach for. You're sitting here looking at individuals talk about the 2 edge rushers out of Georgia. Have you guys paid attention to Jacksonville and Travon Walker? No. We don't need to get average guys or guys that are disruptors. We need guys that are going to go out there and blow things up at 8. So if we can't get that, see, those 2 guys out of Georgia, they're going to be pretty good players. And we don't need the top corners in the game. We don't need those guys. I love what we got at corner. There's no problem there. We could get a slot guy. Yeah. I've heard people say, yeah, go get the kid out of Michigan. Go get the kid out of East Carolina. What? Why? We got to get pass rush right, guys. I don't care how good your secondary is. You can't get a pass rush. Furthermore, if you can't get a daggum stop the run, ain't nobody going to try to throw the ball on you. They're going to run it.
Damn you.
Simple.
Bruh.
I totally agree, Poe Broken Lonely. Let's get Graham. M Performance 3502 said Morgan's 2024 draft has been terrible. Leggett is below average. Brooks is injured for 2 years at least. Sanders has been below average. And the only one that has at least been average is Wallace. All right. I'm not going to say that's completely true. I will say this. I think you've given a more of a balance to the Leggett Mingo argument than so many others. You got so many people on these other podcasts and YouTube channels. They're saying Mingo was terrible and he had 44 grabs. We forget about that. I don't. Because I thought we gave up on Mingo too early. And now I will say this. Do I honestly think that the receiving core is elite? Of course not. But I think Bryce finally started to come around. I think Dave Canellis' play calling really came into full effect, and there were things that he started to do later in the season that were just absolutely brilliant. I think Jalen Coker can be a great deep threat, and he showed it in that Dallas game. It was great play design in that. But let's move forward because we got a little bit of stuff that we got to get to. Brandon Hatcher said, well done. You pointed out things I haven't considered. Kudos. Thank you so much. That is the reason why I'm here, because there's so many mainstream people. They just want to talk about the talking points. They don't really know this team. They don't care to know this team. All they care about is their feelings. And I'm going to bring you more of that content, Brandon. Thank you so much, buddy. I'm sorry it's been such a minute. You commented 2 weeks ago. I hadn't forgot you. Daryl Fryer says, we can get Luther Burden, wide receiver, in the third or fourth. We need a run stopper, nose tackle, or center field safety with the early picks. Okay. All right, Daryl. I see that nose tackle. That's exactly what I'm talking about. But Tet is so hard to pass on. Luther's going in the first round. There ain't going to be no third or fourth round pick for him. He's going. Him and Isaiah Bond are more than likely going in the first round because the league is about speed in a lot of ways. These little guys, they're seeing how efficient Xavier Worthy and Devontae Smiths in the league are so efficient and effective in the right system. But you're right. We definitely got to get a nose tackle or a center fielder. And I will be going through our mock draft in a cup before the Super Bowl. So you guys be ready for that. I've done some mock drafts and I've got them ready for you. I've had fun doing it as well. D. Jabritter, 1688. Grant or Kenneth Grant would be okay with me. Still, if Carter is there, it will be hard to pass on him up. Then again, I really am against drafting players that are injured. I hear what you're saying, though. I look at the talent in the draft, and one argument that you have is the edge picks are deep. But that also tells me that the D-line is also fairly strong in the draft. BPA at number 8. And personally, to call me that means Carter. I can't do Carter. And the reason why I say it, guys, we are not Abdul Carter away from being effective. And then Carter's light, you guys. He's a very light edge player. There's a lot of guys like Shamar out of Texas A&M that go 6'5", 280. They're not nearly as in Micah Parsons type when it comes to the pass rush. I get what a lot of you are going to say, and I totally get what you're saying. The fact is we need a guy that is going to impact the running game. Okay? We could, and this is what the concept of this show is going to be about. The rush. The reality of it is we can maintain some strength in the middle of that line. We can get pass rush. Let's say we go and get Mason Graham. Mason Graham is a pass rusher in himself. And if we can get possibly 2 tackles in this draft, we can very well get 2 tackles in this draft. A lot of people are going to say, well, would you do that? Well, if you don't get Mason Graham, let's say you don't get him. And as I've said before, trade back. You get that, as you said, DG, you go ahead and you get that, either that star safety or you get that secondary edge rusher. Edge rushers are going to go off the board probably within the next late second round. We can get our guy. However, if we don't see Ted McMillan or Mason Graham, trade back. Because I can tell you right now, getting Abdul Carter is not going to help us this year because we have to be able to stop the run. Teams are going to see Abdul Carter and they're going to be like, let's run the ball. And this is no knock on Derrick Brown. But the reality of it is they're going to double both these guys. As DJ Wanham was last year. We got to bring some more to the table. We got to bring some more to the party. But great comment. Great comment. There's got some great comments that are going to be on this show, you guys. Y'all fighting for that spot. Why am I so anxious, said Ewers. No disrespect. No, sir. No. Quinn Ewers, I don't even know if he's going to make a good quarterback. I really don't think he is. It's not going to be a good, pleasant spot for Quinn Ewers at this level. He's got happy feet, and I don't think we want that. We definitely don't want another quarterback that is having trouble with, being able to keep his feet steady and keep his head. You got to be able to keep your head in the pocket. You got to have a strong sense of keeping it together. And Bryce did a phenomenal job of doing that. I was very impressed with the way he kept things together. Also want to give a big growl out to Clint Beastwood. I love the name, brother. Clint Beastwood. That is something. I love Clint Eastwood. That's nice. I like that. I like that. Clint Beastwood, thank you for the sub. But I hope you guys are doing great. Thank you all for the comments. Great when we can dialogue like that. I've got a couple of extra subscribers. You guys, if you guys subbed to the show recently, please, I'm still neglecting to get this shirt done. I've still got concepts for it, but I got to get it done because you guys have been awesome. A couple of more of you guys have subbed to the show. Welcome to the Growling and Prowling family. Absolutely. But we got to get into the talk, which is, as you all know, we are talking about superstar Hall of Famer Miles Garrett. A guy whom really needs no type of introduction. As you're watching a situation unfold in Cleveland that, in my opinion, should have happened many years ago. But I guess Miles was trying to be the professional and basically, in a nutshell, try to stick it out. But it came about a couple days ago that he wanted out of Cleveland. And see, there's a couple of things here. Should we pursue him? The first thing we got to realize is he going to see us as a contender? That is the most important thing that we as a fan base has to look at. We have to understand whether or not is Miles Garrett going to see us as a place to be successful at. And ultimately, we have to, Dan Morgan and company are going to have to persuade him that Bryce Young is the future, that he sees him as the leader of this team going forward, or the leader of a team that can win a Super Bowl, most importantly. Now, the question is, what are the Cleveland Browns going to be asking for? Now, based on some of the rumblings that I'm hearing are that right now the bidding war is up. Of course, you got the Kansas City Chiefs, you got the Philadelphia Eagles, you've got the Washington Commanders who have a ton of cap space. And ultimately, the rubber really meets the road is going to be whether or not we're going to have the assets or be willing to play with the assets. Now, this is where it comes interesting from you guys. I'm going to ask you guys, if they ask for our number 8 pick and a number 2 pick, let's say they ask for a number 1 and a number 1 next year, do we pull Los Angeles Rams and take Miles Garrett? And I think Garrett's only got 2 more. He's only got 2 years left on his current deal. Do we take that? Do we take that? Put a yes in the comments, and then put, if we do take it, or put a no in the comments. I'm of the belief system that you don't. And the reason being is you're giving up too much. Because the truth of the matter is you could get 2 high caliber players that are younger. Now, I know what everybody's going to say, but you're getting a Hall of Famer in the pinnacle of his career. That's arguably. All it takes is one injury. Look at Von Miller. It took one injury, and that was all she wrote. He was a shell of himself, and Von Miller is much lighter and quicker than Miles Garrett. And I'm not taking anything away from him. I think he is a phenomenal athlete. But if the Carolina Panthers can somehow talk down the Cleveland Browns and get them out of this crazy mindset of they're going to get this for this and that, I think ultimately what's got to happen is we're going to have to talk this team down. And there's going to be a lot of people out there. Kansas City, I'm hearing that some are even willing to go as far as to trade their first, second, and third picks this year to get him. And they've already got pretty much everything in check. However, they're going to have to deal with the salary cap a little bit. But to answer your question, do I think Carolina needs to go in that deep? No, absolutely not. You can get, and I don't want to give away my mock draft, but you could get, if you don't want Ted McMillan, you could trade all the way down to about number 15, number 16. And like GB said, you could get the safety of our choice. You guys are going to find out I love this guy. He reminds me a lot of Kyle Hamilton. Then you could come back around. If you trade down and you're smart enough with the dealings, you could very well get your tackle and your edge player in the second round. Yeah, that's right. You could get 2 second-round picks in this, and you possibly get a third, and then you could turn around, and there's a guy out of Texas who, oh boy, if we put him with Derek Brown and the other big guy, arguably the other tackle out of Michigan, which was alluded to, you put those 3 guys around there with Derek Brown, you're going to have a Philadelphia Eagles defensive front. Not to mention, if you get the right edge guy, whom I have in mind, you put them on that defensive line, you won't need to rush anything but 5. Both your edge guys and your 3 guys in the middle. And then you got 2 linebackers that are back there just chilling. So you got 6 in coverage. And we know Evero likes to run a lot of man coverage, but the reality of it is you could play a lot of nickel if you get the right corner. You could run a lot of one safety nickel. Or if you draft this kid that I'm referring to, he can play a lot of nickel himself. So you could arguably stay in your 3-4 base, not even bring out that nickel presence. You could have your safety as this guy. Well, wouldn't this be nasty? But anyway, let's move forward. I think ultimately, if you could get Garrett with maybe a second this year and a second next year, or maybe even a second and a third next year, or maybe a player of an even exchange. Who knows? I mean, as much as I love Adam Thielen's a guy who seemingly seems like the odd man out. And I don't want him to be the odd man out, but it's looking more and more like they may be trying to move him. But I don't think this move makes sense for the Carolina Panthers. I think ultimately you got the space. They're going to ultimately bump some salaries down. We already know this. This is not something new. But I do believe that the Carolina Panthers are going to look for a move. We don't need to do anything drastic. To me, this guy and T. Higgins, no, not Garrett Wilson, no, not Cooper Kupp. None of those guys are going to benefit us and help with Xavier Legette and Jalen Coker and JT Sanders as well as Tommy Tremble. You need guys that are going to walk in here day one and make these guys better, not come in here and become the alpha male and alienate a lot of guys. I'm not saying they're going to alienate guys, but that's what it seems like when you bring in a savvy vet that is not necessarily going to come in here to spread the team concept, but he's brought in here to take over. I ultimately believe that this does not benefit us. It will not benefit us because we're going to have to give up too much. Now, Garrett can be a huge impact player immediately, but if you guys remember, Cleveland had problems with the run when Garrett was out there. And we got Derek Brown. I'm going to just say it just like this. Guys, if we play our cards right, we could get all 3 defensive players that we need and covet if the cards are dealt right. And that's not always the case. But if Dan Morgan is patient and he gets a feel for the draft, just like people will sit there and say you can't play these mock drafts and get a feel. If you do this right, I'm going to be honest with you, you need to simulate it, because the truth of the matter is the way drafts go, players go in bunches. So the minute you see, okay, oh snap, there's a defensive end that just went and your guys maybe, let's say 3 or 4 spots, you better snatch them up. If you get to a situation where there's an end that goes and then another one goes, oh, got to make a trade. Or if you get two, then you get one, and then you get that third, and your guy happens to be the fourth one sitting there, better jump on it. I'm one of those guys, when I see two go back to back of the same position, guess what? I got to jump on it. Because there's a bunch of guys that are sitting back there that are thinking, okay, he's fixing to go. But let me know what you guys think about the Carolina Panthers trading from superstar Hall of Famer, future Hall of Famer Miles Garrett. I don't think we should, unless the Browns are willing to just hand him over to us, which I don't think they will. I think he'd be a great addition, but to compromise what we can get in the draft, or what I'm foreseeing that we can get in the draft, we can't do that. Now, I do agree with one of you guys that said that this draft Morgan's draft has not been good. I think probably the only thing that we can question is Jonathan Brooks and trading up to go get him. I think ultimately that is a huge risk that you really don't want to take. And yeah, that's just one you don't take. I was not a big fan, if you guys remember, I was not a fan of the trade to go get Brooks. I was not a fan of getting him because I ultimately wanted TJ Tampa, who is a Baltimore Raven right now. But let me know what you think. I put those comments down there below. Thank you guys so much for commenting. I enjoy reading them. Also, go to the Facebook page at Growlin' and Prowlin'. Leave your comments down there, or just put up articles and whatnot. Go over there, join the group, and you can start posting things. Post a question in the group, or post concerns that you have, and I'll read them on the air. Also, go to my Instagram at Mr. CeeLo so you can find out all the shenanigans and things that I will be into during the off season. So until the next time we meet, you guys, I hope you guys stay safe and clear. Oh, gotta wish myself happy birthday, you guys. I had a birthday last Sunday, and I am officially getting old, if you can't tell. But until the next time, keep prowling the airwaves and keep growling out. Keep pounding.